Hello viewers and potential subscribers, you are watching Unknown Emerald and welcome to a tutorial in which I'll be showing you how to set up different game types onto your map. It's been a little bit over a week since the winter update and there has been some incredible creations made by the Halo community, and one thing that people need to know is how to set up things like Capture the Flag, Strongholds, King of Hill, etc. onto their map. So let's get to it. When you first load up a map on any of the canvases, the very first thing you will notice is this giant grid. On this grid you will already have quite a few of the game types pre-made for you to look at, however they don't really explain to you how they work, so I went ahead and made something a little bit more visual friendly for everyone to look at. We're going to start off with Capture the Flag. In Capture the Flag there are two objects that we need to look at. One of them being the flag spawn point, which is the flag itself. That goes for both your team's flag as well as the enemy flag. And number two, you have the delivery plate, which as the name suggests is where you will deliver the flag. Now let's very quickly look at the object properties for both these pieces. Under properties you scroll down a little bit until you reach the labels. The label for this over here is flag stand spawner and include capture the flag. The team is team 2, Cobra, and you want to make sure that the flag spawn and the delivery plate next to it is corresponding to the same team. Once again, the label for the delivery plate is flag delivery plate and again include capture the flag. When you're setting up spawning for modes such as capture the flag, you want to make sure that both the respawn point as well as the initial point are set to the same team as the capture plate and the flag itself. If this for example is set to team 2 and I have the team 1 flag set to this capture plate over here, that means that the enemy team is going to spawn at the wrong base and you do not want to have that happen. When you first add the respawn point onto your map, you might want to change the ignore danger and ignore line of sight to on, because when you turn it on that means that no matter how many enemies are around you, you'll still be able to respawn on that point. If they're turned to off, you might have a case of people spawning outside of the map or even spawning on the other side of the map on the enemy side, which you do not want to happen. So that's just a little tip for the spawning on Capture the Flag. Now during most 4v4 maps you want to make sure that the flag spawn is on top of the capture plate. Now depending on what map you are building, the flag can be anywhere on the map. For example, for a BTB map, you can have the flag very far away from the capture plate because that's how most BTB maps work, and you can also change the positioning of the second and the third flag after you capture the first one. The way to do that is to go back to object properties and go to spawning order. The very first flag on the map will be spawn order 0. The second one will be spawn order 1 and the third one will be spawn order 2. So it's a little bit confusing and I'm going to quickly go into a custom game to show you how this looks like. So from what I just showed you, I'm going to go ahead and capture the first flag from this point over here. Walk up to the plate, capture it, and the second flag will change position. Now this only happens if you change the spawning order, and if you don't want the flag to change the position, you just don't touch the spawning order. You want to keep it at 0 and keep one flag on your map at a time. And that's it for capture flag. Now we're gonna move on to strongholds and King of a Hill. In traditional strongholds, you are going to have 3 objectives on the map. You cannot have more than 3, however you can have 2 if you choose to do so. I highly recommend you stick to 3 because it helps your map flow a lot better. For every single stronghold on your map, you're going to need 2 of the following. Number 1 is this capture plate. The capture plate is where the AI is going to appear and give away your location like a cheeky beaver. We're going to go into object properties and quickly look at the labels. The label 1 is stronghold plate, and you want to have the label 2 to include strongholds. Now for each stronghold you can set them to a team, so if you want to have one team spawn with one stronghold and the second one spawn with the other at the beginning of the game, you can do so by just changing the team on it. However, if you don't want it to be the case, you just change it to neutral, so at the start of the round every single stronghold on the map will be neutral. The other thing you're going to need is a stronghold capture zone. The capture zone determines the size of the stronghold that you're capturing. In my case, I've got a little cylinder going on. However, if I want to change the shape and the boundary of it, all I have to do is go back to object properties, go down to the boundary. I can change the cylinder to a box. I can change the size of the box, I can change the size of the cylinder, I can customize it to whatever I want. You also want to make sure that the team is corresponding to whatever is on the capture plate. So if the capture plate is in team 1, you want to make sure that the zone is also in team 1. And again, if you want it to be neutral, just keep it neutral. And one last thing is that you want to make sure that the capture plate is inside the capture zone for the stronghold to take effect. If it doesn't work, you might want to try to merge the zone down into the ground a little bit to ensure that the capture plate is actually being inside the zone. Sometimes it can be a little glitchy, but it should work if you do it correctly. King of a Hill is going to work in a very similar way as Strongholds. However, this time around, rather than having 3 objectives to capture, you're going to have a single one at a time. But your question is, then why do you have 5 zones? Well, that is because when you capture one zone on King of a Hill, the next one is going to respawn at a different place of the map. For King of a Hill, you're going to be using King of a Hill capture zone rather than a Stronghold capture zone because it is a different game type. We're going to go into labels. Label 1 is King of a Hill zone and label 2 is include King of a Hill. You do not have to worry about teams because in King of a Hill, every single hill that spawns is going to be neutral. On the capture plate is King of a Hill plate and include King of a Hill. Now, like I said previously, these will spawn at different places of the map. However, if you want to have them spawn at specific places at a specific time, then all you have to do is just change the spawning order. For example, on this capture plate I have spawn order 0, which means that this is going to be the very first plate that will spawn on the map. Now, this will only work if every other hill on your map has a spawn order set to 1 or above. So for example, if I go over here, you can see that spawn order is set to 1, so is this one over here, so is that one, and so is that one. That means that after this plate over here is captured, the game will randomly select one of the following zones to be the next hill. However, if you just want to have a sequence of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, then all you have to do is set them in that specific order. Now, I just want to very quickly show you what this will look like in a custom game. We're going to go ahead, capture the zone, and this will take me a few seconds to do, so I'm gonna skip ahead and let you kind of watch my doge spin around. And the zone has been captured. Ooh, my head is spinning now a little bit. And as you can see, my second objective is going to spawn over here. So the first objective spawns over here and the second one over here. Now let's do a lightning round. This is audible. For audible, all you need to have is a ball stand. We're going to go to labels. The label 1 is audible spawn and label 2 is include audible. For symmetrical maps, you definitely want to have this somewhere at the middle of the map, whereas for asymmetricals, still having it at the center, you want to make sure that both teams can get to the ball spawn at the same time or a similar time to make sure it's fair, and that's all you need to know for audible. Now, stockpile seems like a very difficult mode to set up, but it's really not. It's actually very straightforward and probably easier than some of the other ones. In traditional stockpile, you want to have 5 power sockets into which you will deliver the seeds. In my case over here, as you can see, I've got them lined up. However, you do not have to line them up if you do not want to. I, for example, can also change the rotation of them. I can change the height of them, so I can do a little bit of this. However, no matter what you do, you want to ensure that the power sockets are inside of your zone. So over here I have a stronghold capture zone, and yes, this stronghold capture zone will work for stockpile. We're going to go into labels. Label 1 is stockpile nav point and label 2 is include stockpile. For power sockets, every single one of them is going to have the exact same label, so in this case, label 1 is a stockpile socket and label 2 is include stockpile. You also want to make sure that the right team is set to the right objective. For example, this is set to team 2. I do not want to have team 1 members, so the eagle team, spawning on this side of the map because you're not going to be able to capture the objective otherwise, unless there is something that is specifically designed for your map, in which case I'm not going to question it. The last thing you're going to need is a power seed spawn. This will determine where every single power seed is going to spawn at. If you go to labels, you only actually need to have one label, which is include stockpile. You can also change the shape of the seeds themselves, so you can switch between Forerunner and Banished all the way at the bottom. So for example, at the moment I have them set to Banished. Now, once again, going back to the spawn point order, if you want to have the seeds spawn at different places at different times, then you need to make sure that I set the spawn order. So if I want to have this one over here be the very first one to spawn at the beginning of the round, then all I have to do is go to spawning and set it to 0. Then if I want this one to spawn at a different place once the first one is captured, then I want to set it to order 1, order 2, etc. Now, just jumping into custom games one more time, as you can see, the power seeds have spawned in this little location over here at first. I'm going to go ahead and capture one more power seed, and the second one is going to spawn over here in just a second. Let's just wait for it. Have to wait for it for a few seconds. Oh, 12 seconds. Oh, it's a long time. Let's skip it. Let's skip it. And voila, the second set of seeds has spawned over here, and that is all you need to know for stockpile. Now, I hope you enjoyed watching this tutorial on how to set up different modes onto your map. I could have went through a lot more modes, however I wanted to get the basics done because if I went through all of them, this video would have been like an hour long and I just don't want that to happen. I'm going to make sure to answer as many questions as I can in the comment section below, and if you want to see more tutorials, make sure to see some of my previous videos and go see Red Nomstar, because this person over here is crazy. He has made quite a few tutorials already on how to do various things across the Halo universe, so make sure to check him out. He has some fantastic content. I want to thank everyone for watching this video, and if you did, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe for more content, and I will see you guys next time, so see you. Boop.